Your grant professional has invited you to start using Grant Holster as someone who has edit permissions. Now, if you get into your Grant Holster account and you can't edit things, you might just have a view option, and we've got another video for that. But this video will show you how to get started in Grant Holster. Let's go. You've probably gotten an email inviting you to join Grant Holster, so just open it. Click on the button and enter your information. You're going to want to create a password here. Click register and then you are ready to go. Here is the Grant Holster dashboard. The dashboard shows you all kinds of great information about upcoming deadlines, your year-to-date information in grants, and your next 10 deadlines. Now, you've noticed there are a lot of zeros, and that's because you're new. But you can also view the team deadlines, and this shows you everything for your organization that's coming up. You can see who it's assigned to, what the due date is, and what its status is. You'll get used to seeing this information. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of consistency in the grant-seeking world on a lot of terms. So for Grant Holster users, we'd really want to define and be consistent with these terms. When we talk about a project, that is usually the large item that you're working on, the grant proposal, the big annual report, whatever it is that you're tracking in Grant Holster. The actions underneath that project are the smaller steps that you need to take to accomplish that larger project. These would be actions like an LOI, a task, a phone call, a webinar, a meeting, a decision. The project is like a parent, and the actions are like the children. Then let's talk about the difference between a project and a program. Again, a project is that grant application or other large thing you're doing in Grant Holster that has all those actions. A program, however, is the mission-related activities of the organization itself. If it's a homeless shelter, maybe it's the outreach program or the overnight shelter itself. If it's a school, it might be a particular curriculum or technology need. The program is the activity that you're doing that the project will support. As you use Grant Holster, it will be important for us to agree on what these terms mean. The Deadlines tab shows you all of the deadlines. This is very similar to the queue items on your dashboard, except it shows every deadline that's associated with your organization. This is organized so that you can see them all or filter them just to see the information that you want. You can do a search in this bar, or you can filter for specific information. Once you're done, you can clear all of those filters and go back to seeing everything. Another great feature of Grant Holster is the export function. This allows you to download all of this information into a spreadsheet that you can use however you want. Now, you'll see in this list of deadlines that there are certain little emblems or icons next to different tasks. This will tell you that these items are indeed tasks that are related to, here you go, a project. Remember, the project is like the parent and the actions are like the children. When you select the project, it opens up the project page and there's lots of great information. The name of the project at the very top will always be the project name and the due date. You'll also see the client and the funder information. As you look down, you'll see general information about the project. It's pretty self-explanatory. Below the general information, you will see that there's a list of contacts. This shows you everyone who needs to be or is involved. Underneath that are the actions. Remember, if the project is the parent, the actions are the children. They could be tasks, it could be meetings, phone calls, letters of inquiry, any other kinds of actions that need to be taken. If you want to update or change information on a task, you just click there and you can update however you like. You can even add a note to that task. There it shows that it's been completed. Let's add a note here. The next section is notes. That's pretty self-explanatory, but it's easy for you to add any notes about this project that you want to add. The next section is attachments. You can attach anything to this project that you want to keep and remember. Maybe it's a final copy of the application. Maybe it's the notice of award. Maybe it's photos. Whatever you want to attach, you can do that here. The final box on the project page is associated projects. This shows any other projects that you have with this funder. Here's a cool feature of Grant Holster. Remember how we added a note under this action? Well, once you've saved it, it not only appears in that action, but it also appears in all of the notes. That way you don't have to go looking for it. Let's say that there's information on this project that you want to change or add or delete. You have the power to do that with your permission level. So just go into Edit and make whatever changes that you want, and then make sure that you save those changes and they will be there. The changes show up for everyone who is using your Grant Holster account. So it's not just you, it's your grant writer and your other team members. The next tab is the Clients tab. Now, it's pretty likely that you are only going to be able to see your own organization's information on this tab. You will, however, be able to view information on the next tab, which is Funders. This gives you information on all of the funders from whom you may be seeking grants. The next tab is Contacts. Now, this will be all of the contacts of the person who owns your account. So you may see a lot of names in here of people you don't know, but you can always add people to this or just view the information. The next section is the Grant Vault. This is where we keep all of that information that gets used over and over again in grant applications. And Grant Holster gives you a safe and easy way to access that information. The tabs in the Grant Vault include general information about the organization, about its programs, governance and staff, fiscal and regulatory, partnerships, awards, recognition and publicity, attachments, notes and verbiage, and there's a way you can download it all. So let's just take a quick look. If you wanted to edit the organizational information, you would do that here. If you wanted to edit or add information on programs, you have the opportunity to do that here. Just watch as I fill in some information on this great program. The next section in the Grant Vault is information on governance and staff. You'll often notice a field called expiration or expires. This is not necessarily when that information itself expires, but this is just a reminder to you and your team that it's time to double check this information. You get to decide how often it quote unquote expires. The next section is fiscal and regulatory information. A good expiration date for this information would be the end of your fiscal year. Partnerships is the next section in the Grant Vault. You can enter information about all of your partners. The next section is awards, recognition, and publicity. Sometimes it's hard to remember where to keep all of that information about an award that the organization won or the time that the local news covered an event. The Vault is a great place to keep this information. The next tab is attachments, where you can attach anything that you would think would be helpful for grant seekers. Finally, anyone who has ever written a grant knows that sometimes you have some really good notes or verbiage that you want to keep track of or reuse over and over. Well, notes and verbiage in the Grant Vault is the perfect place to keep that. Setting an expiration date helps you make sure that you're not using old information or that you just can update that information as needed. The Download tab allows you to download everything, or just some things from the Vault. It will export it into a spreadsheet that you can use however you want. And that's the getting started on GrantHolster as a user. Now, the example that we've had here has been pretty empty. As you start using GrantHolster, it's going to get really full, so you're going to love those sort and filter options that you've got. Now, if you ever have questions about how to use GrantHolster, we are here to help. Let us know, and we'd love to visit with you. Thank you so much for using GrantHolster. Bye-bye.